Hello everybody, if you could see this room, it would be just surrounded by comic books. I've got things on my desk comic book wise, there's comic books there on my shelving bin, they're everywhere. Because I wanted to do a video I've not actually done for 2 years. God only knows what I'm doing in this thumbnail. That's just weird. But what's not weird is wanting to see a character that you like from the Marvel Universe put into Marvel Contest of Champions. And going back those 2 years, 2 characters have actually entered into the game, Beta Ray Bill and Adam Warlock, which is great, and a plethora of new champions from characters from the Marvel Universe. But Kabam have still got a ton more to add in. And I hope Kabam can take confidence in that with Marvel Rivals adding in some very weird and out there characters that they can do exactly the same. And one of those particular characters is going to start us off as to a champion, or a character I would like to see personally as a champion. And as I've got this t-shirt arriving in the next hours or so, Jeff the Landshark is one of those particular characters. So one of the biggest fears that Kabam have had is putting characters, in particular animals, that could be looked to be smacked about a bit. Well, look, with Marvel Rivals doing what they're doing, I think it very much brings down the barriers and opens up the opportunity for Marvel Contest of Champions and Kabam to compete in the same way, or at least do a collaboration with Marvel Rivals to add this character in. And in fact, there was a working rumour that one of the head honchos at Marvel Rivals had been in contact to do a collaboration with Marvel Contest, which would have been really good, but I think because they were already locked into something and doing their 10 years and the PC version, trying to do something is and was very difficult at the time, so I don't think that's I think that might be the reason they weren't able to work together the same way that Marvel Snap, Marvel Puzzle's dead. But there was Fortnite and maybe it was Marvel Puzzle. They were going to do something. They did something together, but obviously they didn't do for Marvel Contest. Whether or not it's an issue of some sort of humanoid-based creature, the same way Rocket is kind of sort of humanoid-ish. I know it's not human. You know what I mean? It's like a character that is an animal per se. The same way you could say Tigra, but Tigra is more humanoid. Look, I don't want to split hairs with this, but I do think there's an opportunity to put in Jeff the Landshark. Second on my list for most wanted, that goes from 1 to 2, is that, because they link together, is LockJaw. And I'm not saying that this is impossible, but it's the same issue from the first and it is to the second. I want to give Kabam a little bit of credit from the art team, right? The art team do an amazing job within the game. We cannot deny that. They've come on leaps and bounds, and if there is tech there to change the way that, say, a character would exist like this, and kind of punch out hit this and move along the screen, to then have something that's on 4 legs and moves in a different way, that again is going to be really different but also better, and maybe not better, sorry, but that could be different. And if it's different, it means that possibilities around characters that exist on 4 legs as opposed to 2 legs and punch could be possible, and that is what I want to see. I want to see Kabam challenging themselves to do something different to allow something like this and Jeff the Landshark coming into game. Teleportation, same way that Nightcrawler Bamps could be incredible for a character like this. Or this could be something of a character that is part of a new system. I did talk a long time ago where you've got champions like Odin. Odin's a great example. Odin has crossfight abilities as part of his kit. But what if you added something new? Not like relics, but something that is a cross-fight champion or a pre-fight champion. Something you cannot play with, but something you can work in. Same thing when it comes to relics, or maybe that's the new relic system. That would be a better relic system. Bring in certain relics to then give you different stats and improvements, that's what I was hoping relics would be, but they never were. They are good, interesting, fun, and add a little bit more to the game. But they're not how I envisioned or hoped they would be. But either way, imagine kind of something like that. If these 2 characters, Jeff the Landshark and LockJaw, could not be put in, that they offer something a bit more to the player than just saying, hey, your favourite character got put in. It couldn't be made as champion, but it is there in some degree to help you out. So a character I've always wanted to see in game has to be Jean Grey. This is very much taking the likes of this. By the way, this was given to me by my sister-in-law. It is a signed Phoenix #1 from this. I think it's this year, actually. It's only recently been released. And this was under $10. This was a bargain here. Anyway, I'd like to not see Phoenix anymore. And again, no disrespect to the champion. It's just that I'd like to go back to a very much simpler time for Jean Grey and have it very much like this version of Jean Grey. Although, of course, we've seen there's been leaks and things that give hope, but that's the issue, isn't it? I don't want to get hope up and the character not, if it is coming to the game or it is being adapted in game, that it is like, you know, better. But I just don't want to see I don't want to see a Phoenix, and I like, because it's done, it's in game. I'd like to see a very much this type of version that is encompassing that art style, the blues and the pinks, which, you know, I know, you know, we all know from back in the day. Yes, the characters Jean Grey did have a kind of like a green and yellow. It's just I like this version, but I don't know if we'll get this version. Yeah, and just to clarify, I mean like the telepathic version, the kind of very much not down to earth, but a little bit more down to earth than having the Phoenix-based powers as part of a kit. With the rise of Deadpool and Wolverine, and of course like a lot of the setup changes you can see here, it's very much been fun to return back to read like old Wolverine comics and re-spark my interest with his kind of son that we don't talk about, Daken. Daken is a very complex character, very different in certain areas. I think a lot of the time there's little surprises around, like, say, mental health struggles and how that's affected the characters, returning back to full form. Of course, from a looks perspective, would he spend most of his time with his shirt off? Yes, okay, that would be the thing. But you'd see that very tribal-esque tattoo, which, of course, he's known very much for. So, yes, I definitely would like to see the character, and especially adding maybe a slight difference in the way the character operates, because he is very much like Wolverine and Logan, and he has accelerated cellular regeneration, augmenting his natural strength, speed, agility, endurance, and reflexes. So there's kind of like there's always extra layers to Daken. There's even with the most recent comic book run, or similar, I think it is most recent actually, he became Helverine, which again is cool. After he was resurrected by and bonded to the demon, I'm not saying that because it's like that's a weird name, gained the supernatural ability to transform into Helverine, granting him ability and those that possess the spirit of vengeance. So would we see anything like that? I mean, I'd like to see it because it's different, but I just don't know if it's a bit out there. Definitely from a Daken perspective, or Daken that can tap into or kind of change in, say, with an SP3, or ramp up with ability, turn into Helverine at certain points during the fight. There's lots of things Kabam could do with this. Okay, next up, Marvel Zombies. I picked up a copy of Marvel Zombies from this year. This is Dawn of Decay. Very interesting storyline. I would say that this is kind of the time for this to be put into Marvel Contest of Champions, or at least expand it as being like a fun Halloween type thing. It's been 10 years of the game. It's time to shake it up and, you know, do something new, something different and something out there. Even if these are placed in as trophy champions, it just would be quite different. And I like different. I like surprises in MCOC. Seeing something new that could be, yeah, just different. But maybe even having playable zombies could be quite cool as well. Something, say, happens at a certain point during the fight. I don't know if Kabam could model it so that, I don't know, your arm falls off or something midway fight, or by the end of it you just kind of get pulverized. I don't know what Kabam could do, but I'd like to see something different and out there from what could be a Marvel Zombies based characters, even if you can't. Oh no, they have to be playable. Just make it happen, man. So whilst prepping for this video, there were some things that I was looking at comic book wise. This is one of my favorite covers, by the way. It's the Wolverine 1992 issue 50, and this has in it and I'll try and put this into shot so you can see the original Nick Fury, which you can see there. That's pretty cool. There's also one we're going to refer back to in this video from a character that I do want to see in game. The reason I talk about that is because we're leading into the next part, which is another issue 50. I think we've got an issue 50 of Doctor Strange, and these cover arts are so good because they've got this kind of like foil, kind of like glossy kind of like thing to it, and it's really good. Funny enough, there's an advert in it. This is from 1991. There's an advert for Naked Gun 33 and 1/3, the final insult, which of course it's funny film, by the way. Now, it struck me that we haven't seen many Atlanteans, Atlantean-based villains, expanding that, and also ones that are, yeah, just allies and enemies. That would be cool to expand all that, but we just haven't seen it. Whether or not we could have done something with Namor to have him as a kind of cross-fight horseman type character leading the Atlanteans, but that's very much not the case. So I definitely would like to see an expansion in these added into game, whether or not it's prominent ones or not. This leads us back to our journey from Wolverine to Silver Samurai. Now, I'm not quite sure where my early Wolverine comics are. They're probably in the collection back there somewhere. This is not Silver Samurai, by the way. This is seems to be Shiva the Destroyer. Yeah, so not Silver Samurai. But effectively, well, the point I'm going to make is a strong villain, similar to the Mandarin, but super strong, super frustrating. And I honestly think Kabam could do a really good job. With the character that has a tachyon field that's kind of focused into the sword that you can cut through almost any substance. That's pretty amazing. Martial arts, you know, you name it, he's got it. That and the Mandarin, two characters that I just think that would be great. More so for this one because I think he resonates a bit more with the enemy structure to Wolverine, the Wolverines in-game, and many other characters as well. So that is definitely on my list. A couple of honourable mentions would be Mystique and would be Morph, but I just don't think those characters are coming into game anytime soon. Whether or not Kabam could actually get the tech for it, that would be such a big release. That would be like a December Soul Month big push kind of a type thing, but I just don't think it's possible at this moment in time. This is where I think that a decent character like Forge could be just right up our alley with what we need. It's not so much of a big X-Men character or a big standing mutant, but it's a mutant that could have some interesting, intricate powers that very much keep him in the anti-tech mutant line, and that is going to be very unusual. He'll have this genius level of intellect where he's able to pinpoint what's going to happen in the future and hopefully create something that's going to stop that, like him knowing he's going to be knocked out in game and he's able to either regenerate or take a portal back. The same way you get a Sentinel, SP3, low on health, boom, get a new one that pops up right there. Of course, being an anti-tech mutant is a very difficult statement to make, especially with like Nimrod. Basically would just go, nah, he's not very good. But others will go like, yeah, he's pretty smart. So there's always that fine line, isn't it, as to like, is he going to be able to counter techs particularly well, especially being able to create tech himself in game that would be able to, not tech in game, but, you know, tech to stop the flow of what's going to happen, you know, his demise and what he could do to kind of create tech to defeat enemies moving forward. In some ways, I kind of feel that could be like Mr. Sinister, who gets all those abilities but going up against different classes. Therefore, he knows the classes or gains benefits going up against their classes further into quests. The same way I'd like to see him be the same, like Forge be this very much kind of pre-fighty type champion. He knows how to counter the next one. Like it's a champion that has evade. Well, he can get a slow debuff that he can then counter that. The champion's got a miss as a mechanic. He can counter that because he knows what's going to happen. That, I think, what would be cool. A pre-fight mutant that would be able to put in a counter based on an ability to then, you know, defeat the enemies. I think that would be cool. That's where I would kind of chart him as if I was kind of to make the character. So I want to finish the video by saying Happy New Year to everybody. This video will be put out on the 31st of December 2024. Let's make 2025 much, much better than 2024 was, as we hopefully get a load of fantastic new champions. What would you add to the game if you were given the chance to? Are some of the most wanted champions still out there that you want to get? But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Check out some other content that's located on screen right now. And I'll see you in the next one. I've got to clean up all these comic books that are on the floor. And yeah, cheers and goodbye.